Don't toss it. 17 plus brilliant indoor and garden upcycles that will change how you grow forever. Hello, dear friends of Earthly Delights. Welcome back, or maybe, welcome for the very first time. If you've ever felt a sense of calm while watering a windowsill basil plant, smiled when your pothos unfurled a new leaf, or found joy in rescuing a cracked teacup just because it might hold a succulent one day, this space is for you. You're likely someone who sees magic in small things, who doesn't need a sprawling backyard to feel the joy of a garden. Maybe you live in an apartment with a sunny nook, or maybe you've got a little patch of earth out back that you've been slowly turning into something beautiful. You're practical, thoughtful, creative, and chances are a little nostalgic too. You care about the earth, but you also care about making things work with what you have, where you are, and with whatever energy you can spare on a tired afternoon. So today, I'm going to show you something special. We're going to look at the everyday objects, things you were probably about to toss in the trash, and give them a new life. Not just as planters, but as stories, as memory keepers, as gentle tools that help you build the indoor jungle, windowsill herb garden, or tiny backyard retreat of your dreams. No heavy lifting, no fancy tools, just easy, charming, and delightfully green ideas that'll make you see your home and your habits with new eyes. So grab a cup of tea, take a slow breath, and let's begin this journey together. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to Earthly Delights. We've got so many little wonders to grow, create, and rediscover, week after week, season after season. 1. Home finds, garden treasures. Let's begin right where all the best things start, at home. Because sometimes, the most magical garden treasures aren't waiting for you in a nursery or store, they're hiding quietly in your kitchen drawers, in the back of your closet, or maybe out by the trash can. You see, gardening isn't always about growing from seeds, it's about growing from imagination. And that starts with seeing what others might overlook. Take a pair of old boots. For example, you know the ones, the scuffed up gardening shoes, or the ones you wore for years and couldn't bring yourself to toss. Well, today's the day they become your garden's most charming feature. Give them a good rinse with warm soapy water. Poke a few small holes in the sole for drainage, and line the bottoms with a bit of gravel. Then fill them with potting soil and nestle in your favorite blooms, cheerful marigolds, fragrant mint, or even trailing ivy. Place them by your door, or hang them from a wooden fence. Just like that, they become rustic planters full of personality and memories. And speaking of small and meaningful, how many of you still buy eggs in those old school cardboard cartons? Next time, don't throw the carton away. Use it to start your seedlings. Each little compartment is the perfect cradle for a sprout. Add a pinch of seed starting mix, a couple of lettuce or basil seeds, and give it a gentle mist. The best part? When the seedlings grow, you can plant the entire cup right into the soil. No transplant shock, no waste, just nature doing what she does best. Now, here's something that will look familiar to everyone: tin cans, soup cans, tomato cans, even those sturdy bean cans from your pantry. Instead of tossing them in the bin, give them a second life as your kitchen herb garden. Peel off the label, clean the inside, and use a nail to tap a few small drainage holes into the bottom. If you're feeling creative, decorate the outside with old fabric scraps, twine, or leftover paint. Fill each can with potting soil and plant one herb per can. Parsley, thyme, or oregano work beautifully. Line them up on a sunny windowsill. And just like that, your kitchen becomes a little green sanctuary. And you know what I love most about these ideas? They're light, easy to handle, and kind to tired hands. They don't require crouching or lifting heavy bags of soil. They're simple, joyful, and they give you something wonderful to look forward to every day. So before you throw anything away this week, pause. Look at it again. Ask yourself, could this be a planter? Could this be part of something I grow? Because more often than not, the answer is yes. And we're just getting started. In the next section, we'll explore how to turn your most sentimental vintage items, like chipped teacups and old wooden chairs, into the sweetest, most soulful parts of your garden. I'll meet you there in just a moment. 2. A garden of memories. Now that your hands have gotten a little creative with boots and cans, let's take a softer turn, into memory, into emotion. Into the kind of gardening that doesn't just grow plants, it grows stories. You see, the most beautiful gardens aren't always the biggest or the most perfectly arranged. They're the ones filled with meaning. The ones that make you pause and smile because they remind you of someone. Or somewhere. Or a time you still carry in your heart. And that's exactly what we're about to tap into. Let's start with something simple, a chipped teacup. Maybe it belonged to your grandmother. Maybe it's one you found at a thrift shop and just couldn't leave behind. Even if it's cracked, even if it's no longer good for tea, it still has a purpose. Add a little gravel, a scoop of succulent soil, and nestle in a tiny echeveria or string of pearls. Set it on your kitchen shelf or your windowsill, and let it remind you, every time you pass by, that even broken things can bloom. And if you're someone who loves old world charm, you're going to adore this next idea. Do you have a wooden chair that's missing a seat? Maybe the paint's peeling or the legs are a little wobbly. Don't throw it away. Transform it. Give it a light sanding. Maybe a coat of soft pastel paint if you feel fancy. Then place a wire basket or bowl into the seat frame. Line it with burlap or coconut fiber. Fill it with potting mix. And add in a swirl of colorful flowers. Petunias, marigolds, or pansies work perfectly. The result? A floral throne fit for your porch or garden path. A seat no longer meant for sitting, but for celebrating life. And let's not forget what's hidden deep in drawers and closets, things like old jewelry boxes. Delicate, dust-covered, and forgotten. These can become magical little terrariums for moss, baby ferns, or air plants. Place them beside your bed, or by your reading nook, and let them bring a little nature indoors where you need it most. Because gardening isn't always about soil and sunlight. Sometimes, it's about storytelling. It's about taking what's been left behind, what no longer serves its original purpose, and turning it into something living, vibrant, and whole again, just like we do with ourselves. So look around your home. What holds memories? What could be honored with a second life? In just a moment, we'll move from memory to function, because even in the smallest of spaces, you can grow big with the right ideas. From shoe organizers to ladders. The next section is all about going upward. And trust me, you're going to love where we grow from here. 3. Grow up, not out. Let's talk about space, or rather, the lack of it. Because for so many of us, gardening doesn't happen on rolling hills or wide open fields. It happens in corners, on balconies, along narrow strips of fence, or even just on a sunny windowsill. But here's the beautiful truth. Plants don't mind small spaces. They'll grow wherever there's light, love, and a little bit of creativity. So if your square footage is tight, don't worry. The secret is to stop growing out and start growing up. And we'll begin with something wonderfully unexpected, a hanging shoe organizer. Yes, that cloth rack that once held your sneakers can now cradle strawberries, basil, mint, even cherry tomatoes. Just hang it on a sunny wall or sturdy fence. If it's plastic, poke a few drainage holes in each pocket. Fill each section with potting mix. Then slip in your plants. Water from the top and watch as it trickles gently down, nourishing every layer below. It's vertical, it's clever, and best of all, it means no bending, kneeling, or crouching. The harvest comes right to you. Fresh strawberries at eye level, just waiting to be picked. Now, let's keep going up with an old ladder. Do you have one collecting dust in the shed? Don't toss it. Transform it into a stunning plant shelf. A-frame ladders work best. They're steady and already shaped like a garden altar. Lay boards across the steps to create shelves. Place your heavier pots on the bottom, and let lighter ones climb upward. Then, for that extra touch of magic, wrap the whole thing in a strand of warm fairy lights. Come evening, your plants won't just glow with life, they'll literally glow. And yes, we're still going higher. Have you ever passed by one of those wooden shipping pallets left on the curb or behind a store? Next time, take it home. With a bit of sanding and a coat of pastel paint, that pallet becomes a vertical garden wall. Staple landscape fabric along the inside to hold soil, or just tuck in small pots between the slats. Fill each pocket with herbs, trailing flowers, or compact veggies like spinach or radishes. Lean it against a fence or mount it on your balcony wall, and suddenly, that dull space becomes a lush green tapestry. But maybe you don't even have room for a pallet. Maybe you're working with the slimmest sliver of space. That's where rain gutters come in. Yes, gutters. Mount them to a wooden fence or exterior wall. Fill them with potting mix. And plant leafy greens like lettuce or arugula. They're light, shallow, and perfectly positioned for waist-height gardening. No crouching, no wasted water, no wasted space. Just fresh salad leaves right where you need them. So if you've ever told yourself, I'd garden if I had more room, let today be the day that belief starts to shift. Because growing upward isn't just a practical solution, it's a mindset. It's saying, I may not have much ground, but I've got sky. And in our next section, we're going to take that sky-reaching spirit and pair it with one of the biggest struggles gardeners face, watering. Tired backs, busy days, and scorching heat. Let's find ways to keep your plants happy without draining your energy. 4. Lazy but loving, watering that works. Let's take a breath, shall we? Because even the most devoted plant lovers among us have days when our knees ache. The sun feels a little too hot. Or, let's be honest, we simply forget to water. And yet, the garden waits, quietly, patiently, depending on us. But here's the good news. Gardening doesn't have to mean exhaustion. You can care deeply and conserve your energy. You can nurture without overextending. And it all starts with working with nature, not against it. Let me show you how. You've probably seen a wine bottle after a celebration, standing empty on the counter. But in your garden, it can become something surprisingly brilliant, a self-watering system. Just fill the bottle with clean water, flip it upside down, and insert the neck deep into the soil beside your plant. As the soil dries, it draws water out little by little, no need to measure. No need to monitor every day. It's a slow release system that gives just enough, just when it's needed. And the best part? It's beautiful, especially when the sunlight catches that green or amber glass. Now, maybe you don't have wine bottles, but I bet you've got some plastic ones lying around. Don't throw them out. Grab a thumbtack and poke a few tiny holes in the cap. Then, snip off the bottom, fill the bottle with water, and press it into the soil. The result? A drip irrigation system that works quietly in the background while you go about your day. It's ideal for container plants, patio pots, even raised beds, especially during heat waves or when you're away for a few days. And here's a little secret I've been using in my own home for years: sponges. Yes, the same kind you clean dishes with. Place one at the bottom of your indoor planters. Beneath the soil, it acts like a little reservoir, soaking up excess water and then slowly releasing it back into the soil as things dry out. It's gentle, it's simple, and it's perfect for those thirsty houseplants that hate soggy roots but love consistent moisture. Now imagine combining these methods. A drip bottle in your tomato planter, a wine bottle in your basil pot, a sponge in your pothos hanging basket. You've just created a garden that cares for you, just as much as you care for it. Because rest is part of the growing process too. And these tools, these gentle watering hacks, they're like a quiet whisper from the garden saying, it's okay to slow down. And we're not done. Coming up next, we're stepping into the world of functional beauty. Furniture that holds plants, benches that bloom, designs that give you a place to sit, reflect, and breathe, all while nurturing green life around you. Trust me, you're going to want to build one of these. 5. Sit, plant, repeat. Now that we've found easier ways to water, let's talk about one of the most underrated pleasures in gardening: taking a seat. Because let's be honest, not every moment in the garden needs to be a task. Sometimes, you just want to be there, to sit with your thoughts, to sip something warm, or to watch the way a bee dances across the petals of a zinnia. But what if the place you sit could also grow something? Let me introduce you to one of my favorite things: the cinder block bench garden. It's as simple as it sounds, and as satisfying as it looks. All you need are a few cinder blocks, 2 or 3 sturdy wooden planks, and a little imagination. Stack the blocks to form the legs of your bench. Slide the planks through the openings to create a seat. And here comes the best part. Those same block holes? They become your planters. Fill them with soil and tuck in cascading alyssum, fragrant thyme, or hardy succulents. The result? A garden bench that not only supports you, but also brings life to your surroundings. And if you like that idea, let's keep going. Have you got a folding chair that's seen better days? Maybe it's missing a backrest. Or the paint is starting to chip. Don't throw it out. Turn it into a shelf-style plant stand. Fold it open, reinforce the seat, and use it as a charming little corner display for potted herbs or trailing vines. It's unexpected, it's elevated, and it brings a lived-in charm to any patio or porch. Now, for those of you who like things modular and movable, you'll love this last idea: milk crate stacking towers. They're perfect for tiny spaces or even indoor gardens. Stack the crates, add some liner or trays inside each one, and fill them with your favorite greens. You can adjust the height, shift the crates around as sunlight changes, and even use them as side tables or plant pedestals. And here's what I love most about all of these pieces. They blur the line between the practical and the poetic. They let your space work for you while still looking beautiful. They offer a place to rest, reflect, and reconnect with nature, all without wasting a single inch. So the next time you're looking for new furniture, maybe don't shop. Maybe build. Build something with memory, with personality, with life. And coming up next, we'll be doing just that, building tiny oases in the most unexpected places. From old bird cages to forgotten fish tanks. Get ready to turn forgotten objects into show-stopping centerpieces for your home and garden. You won't believe what we'll grow next. 6. Tiny oases. Big impact. Let's wander now into the part of the garden that feels a bit like magic. The kind of magic that shows up when you turn something forgotten, something odd, even, into a quiet sanctuary bursting with life. Because no matter how small your space is, there's always room for wonder. And these next ideas? They're the kind that make guests lean in and say, "Wait, that's a planter?" First, let's talk about something truly delightful: the birdcage terrarium. Maybe it's been tucked away in your attic, or maybe you found one at a thrift store for a few dollars. Either way, once you remove the bottom tray and line it with moss, gravel, and low-light plants like ferns or air plants, it transforms. Add a strand of soft fairy lights or a miniature figurine inside, and suddenly you've got yourself a little enchanted forest, right in your living room or hanging from a patio hook. It's whimsical, delicate, and absolutely mesmerizing at night. Now, what about that old fish tank you never use anymore? Don't let it collect dust. Turn it into a fairy garden. Line the bottom with river stones, potting mix, and a mix of small flowering plants, succulents, and decorative pebbles. Add a tiny wooden bench, a pinecone, tree, maybe even a little gnome if you're feeling playful. Place it by the window, and it becomes a living diorama, part decor, part dreamscape. It's also the perfect project to do with grandchildren or to simply let your imagination run wild on a rainy afternoon. And here's one more little gem for your patio or porch: the colander hanging basket. Yes, that metal or plastic colander in your kitchen. The one you use for pasta? Well, it just happens to be the perfect planter. It already has drainage holes built in, and with a little liner and a chain or rope for hanging. It can cradle anything from herbs like thyme and oregano to trailing petunias. Add a splash of paint if you'd like, pastel blue, soft coral, or classic white, and hang it where it can spin gently in the breeze. It's charming, it's effortless, and it brings a smile every time you walk past. These are the projects that make gardening feel like storytelling. They aren't just functional, they're personal. They whisper back to you, "I was once something else, but look what I've become." And maybe, just maybe, they reflect something in you too. But we're not done bringing ease and joy into your garden just yet. Coming up next, I'll show you a few incredible tricks to keep your plants watered without effort, especially if you forget to water, or just need a break. You won't believe how simple and genius these ideas really are. Let's keep going. 7. Literary leaves and hidden genius. By now, you've probably noticed a theme. We're not just planting in soil, we're planting in stories. In objects that carry meaning. In moments that quietly say, "Look what we've made from what was left behind." And this next set of ideas? They're no different. They're small in scale, but they leave a lasting impression on your guests, on your space, and most importantly, on your heart. Let's start with something that feels like a love letter to both readers and gardeners: the book planter. Yes, A real hardcover book. Maybe one that's falling apart, with pages yellowed by time. Instead of tossing it, we honor it. Hollow out the center, seal the pages with glue or Mod Podge, and line it with a bit of plastic. Then, fill it with soil and nestle in a few miniature succulents, tiny echeverias, hens and chicks, or even a string of pearls. It's like a chapter of life blooming right from the spine. Place it on a coffee table or shelf, and it becomes a conversation starter. A reminder that beauty and wisdom can grow together in the most unexpected places. Now, here's a fun surprise from one of our very own viewers, a brilliant woman named Shirley, 82 years young, who sent in a photo that absolutely stole our hearts. She took an old stovetop kettle, yes, a real metal kettle, handle and all, and turned it into a birdhouse. She painted it in warm sunflower yellow, added a tiny perch at the spout, and hung it from the lowest branch of her lemon tree. Within a week, a little sparrow moved in. It's ideas like these that remind us, when we create with love, life shows up to fill the space. And before we wrap this section, let me give you a couple of quick gems you can try right away. Do you have any old candle holders? Give them a gentle wipe, and place a small ceramic dish or pot on top. Suddenly, you've got yourself an elegant pedestal for air plants or baby cacti, perfect for a dining table centerpiece or even a bathroom shelf. Or maybe you've got a broken umbrella frame lying around. Flip it upside down, nestle small pots into each of its ribs, and you've just created a radial cluster of color and greenery that's unlike anything in your neighborhood. What ties all of these ideas together isn't the shape of the object, it's the spirit behind it. The decision to make something bloom where others saw only scrap. The patience to give new life where others saw an ending. And that, my friend, is what makes your garden different. It's not just a place where things grow, it's a place where you grow. Now, take a deep breath, because we're heading into the final stretch. Up next are 3 stunning, bold garden transformations that will turn heads and make your space the envy of the entire block. You're about to see what happens when creativity meets confidence, so don't go anywhere. Let's finish strong. The spirit of gentle gardening. And just like that, here we are. From teacups and tin cans, to ladders wrapped in light, to book planters, birdhouse kettles, and blooming benches, you've turned the forgotten into the unforgettable. But more than anything, I hope today reminded you that gardening doesn't start with a shovel. It starts with a spark, a feeling, a memory. It begins when you look at something others would throw away and say, "Wait, I can grow something here." You, my friend, are not just a gardener. You're a storyteller, a creator, a quiet alchemist turning waste into beauty, one tiny pocket of green at a time. And whether your knees ache, your space is small, or your hands aren't as steady as they used to be, you are still growing. And that matters deeply. So I invite you, before you go, to take one idea from today's journey and try it. Just one. Whether it's a teacup on your sill, a shoe hanging by the fence, or a sponge under your houseplant. Start there. Let it remind you that every small act of care is a seed planted, not just in the soil, but in your soul. If this video brought you peace, inspiration, or even just a gentle smile, please consider subscribing to Earthly Delights. This space is for people just like you, who grow quietly, who create tenderly, and who believe in the beauty of second chances. Next week, we'll explore 12 magical plants that attract butterflies, bees, and maybe a little luck into your life. But until then, keep smiling, keep planting, and as always, keep growing.